Hi everyone, how's it going and welcome to another video on the channel. The new FPL season is here, released yesterday. Everyone's footing about with different drafts and I thought I'd come on here today, make a video and show you my own. And I've went for a one premium team. This isn't the players in the grey, that's just the random auto selected team, but I've went for one premium in my team today and I want to show you why I think it's the best option. So I thought I'd kick things off with the goalkeeper. I went for Verbruggen in goal. Should be a pretty popular option, the Brighton goalkeeper anyway. All three of them priced at 4.5 million. I think he's Brighton's newest signing, and I think he'll be the starting goalkeeper over Steele this year. Sanchez will probably be on his way out, and I think this guy's supposed to be highly rated from the Belgian league anyway, and I think he'll be the number one, so I'm going to go for him. I think Brighton's defence looks very solid, and for 4.5 million it easily looks like one of the best options. So alongside him I've decided to pick Leno in goals for Fulham, another 4.5 million goalkeeper. I think it's useful to have two goalkeepers who you can be happy to play with in the starting 11. Another option for me would have been Pickford, but again, I've not. This is obviously our first draft, so we don't really know who's going to be in the team. But for me, those three at 4.5 million look fantastic. Verbruggen's get some good games up until Newcastle, and then it's Manchester United afterwards. And that week, Leno plays against Luton at home, so it looks like a decent rotation between those two. This team is 100 million, so I don't have 0.5 remaining, but again I can always switch to a 4 million goalkeeper if need be, and then because Brighton have some fairly easy fixtures, so if I need 0.5 million in the bank I can always downgrade Leno, but I think for now those two look like a great rotation for the goalkeeper spots. Starting off the defence, the same as everyone else, I've went for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy was 100% owned by the time game week 1 actually kicks off, but at the end of last season, Trent was picking up assist after assist after assist, playing in midfield, and I think at 8 million, obviously he's 1.5 million more than the next best defender, but I think he's going to have to be essential, to be honest. Hopefully Liverpool strengthen up the defence this season, but I think attacking wise, for 8 million, Trent Alexander-Arnold has to be in the team, and I think he will be in my team coming game week 1. Following him, another pretty popular pick, I went for Luke Shaw as the other defender at 5.5 million. Another one that I actually think I could downgrade for an extra 0.5 million. I think Shaw looks good, but Gabriel at 5 million looks great, and there's a couple other. Stupinan looks great at 5 million, so Shaw is not essential for me. It was good last season in FPL though, so we'll have to see. I think he'll also be quite popularly or highly owned by game week 1, and I think again due to his good season last season, we might have something similar this season, so he's in my team for now. We'll see how that goes. Next up I went for someone slightly different in defence. I went for Nathan Ake at only 5 million. I think City's fixtures probably look the best in the league, to be honest, for the first 8 or so games, and I wanted a City defender in there. I was waiting on the price reveals coming in, obviously they were last, and I said if there was a 5 million starting City defender I probably would have went for them, but again I can't really staple them in right now anyway because there's so many good 5 million defenders out there. But for now I went for Nathan Ake because after such a good season I don't think he gets dropped, and again I think at 5 million it's a pretty good steal for a City defender, which looks even stronger this season. Okay, so as we get into the cheaper options in defence, I've went for Sven Botman. I don't think he's going to be in my team come game week 1 because Newcastle have Man City and Liverpool in their first 3 games. He's really just there as a placeholder for now because he is priced so well, but there's players like Mings I think will probably be in there as Villa have decent fixtures. I've not really had too much of a look at the other ones. But Botman's really there because a 4.5 million defender is fairly essential in most FPL teams, and I think he's very very well priced again this season, so I've got him in there for now. And finally, to wrap up the defence, we've got Bayer from Burnley as a 4 million player who's really just going to sit on the bench the whole time. I've seen a lot of people talk about whether him, Bell or Baldock, they seem like the 3 popular 4 million defenders this year. I think with Baldock, he's not even. I think he's barely even a starter for Sheffield United. And then Bell, there's rumours that he might not be back from international duty for the start of the season. So I've got Bayer in there. He played most of Burnley's games last season. I think he'll probably do the same again, but again, he's probably just there to fit the more expensive players in, and he probably won't make the team at any point. So yeah, I think that wraps up a pretty solid defence there. I've got two good goalkeepers, a solid 4 back line, even 5 to be honest. If we've got 5 starters, then it's good news. But we're going to move on to the midfield now, and we're starting it off strong with Heung-min Son. Now I'm going for him over Rashford because I really believe Son's going to have a fantastic season this season. If you look at last year, that's a premium player right there, and he's dropped like 2.5 million, I think, maybe 2 million. 9 million in midfield, I think, is way too cheap for him. And then obviously he said he's played last season through an injury. So I think under Ange, attacking football, a good pressing player, I think he's going to be fantastic for Spurs this season. Obviously, Harry Kane could be leaving, so he could end up being the main man for Spurs in there. But even with Harry Kane, I think at 9 million, he's 3.5 million cheaper. I think he could easily cover him this season. We'll have to see, but I'm going for Son in midfield. Alongside him, we're going for Bukayo Saka from Arsenal. I think at 8.5 million, he's very underpriced this season. Obviously, there's also Jesus at 8 million at striker. So there's a debate going on which one will end up better. I think Saka 8.5 is pretty good, plus there's good cheap striker spots available anyways, which you'll see in a minute, and I'll go on more about why I picked Saka at the end. But I think 8.5 million is a great season last season, and he's cheap nicely, so there's absolutely no reason to pick him again. Next up in the midfield, I've went for Luis Diaz. I think at 7.5 million he could be fantastic, especially if he is guaranteed on that left wing spot for Liverpool. I think there's a lot of good Liverpool players. There's McAllister at 6 million, Szoboszlai at 7, Jota I think 7.5 as well as a midfielder this season. I think once we start to see the Liverpool lineup, how they play and who gets the goals and assists, it's going to be fairly essential to get a Liverpool player or attacker in at some point. So I've got Luis Diaz in there now, hopefully to cover Salah. If you've noticed already, this team doesn't have Salah in it. I don't know. I think you can just make a much more well-rounded team without Salah, and I'm hoping Luis Diaz this season will be able to cover. Obviously, I doubt it, but if McAllister takes penalties for Liverpool this season, it takes a lot of the hype away from Salah as well. So Luis Diaz is there now. This could become McAllister, could become Szoboszlai, could become Jota, could become anyone else from a different team as well, to be fair. But I wanted someone from the Liverpool attack, and that's who I've got now. Next up, we've got probably the best value player so far. We've got Mbeumo at 6.5 million. With Tony out this season, Mbeumo could very likely play at striker. And last season, you could see he was starting to perform very well with Tony not in the team, and even with Tony in the team. So I think Mbeumo and Mitoma look like the two best options as cheap midfielders. So I went for Mbeumo. I'll explain why again once the full team is out. But yeah, I think Mbeumo's going to be in most teams again this season. I've seen him in most drafts from what I've seen anyways. So I don't think it's much of a surprise that he's in mine as well. And then rounding off the midfield, I've got Tanguy Ndombele for Spurs. I think we've seen that Spurs have rejected a couple of offers for Ndombele, so I think he very easily could get some regular game time. Obviously, as a midfielder in a good team, I think he was playing as an attacking midfielder for Napoli last season. I might be wrong, but at 4.5 million, he looks okay. He's going to be a bench player for me anyways. And again, that's could easily switch around. We'll see what happens in pre-season. But I think Ndombele could be fairly decent this year, and just a good option to come off the bench. Okay, so we've got 28 million now to fill out the last 3 attackers. Haaland's in there. Surprise, surprise. Everyone's probably going to have Haaland in there as well, especially since Kane might be on his way. If Kane's away, everyone will have Haaland in their team. what else can you say, to be honest? He scored, 36 goals last season. I think even at the high price tag, he's with the team you can get around it, as you can see. You can't not have him. Yeah, there's really not much else we want to be going on about that, but it leaves 14 million for the last two strikers. And I've decided to go for Callum Wilson again, someone I've not seen in too many drafts. I think he's been very overlooked. Maybe because Jesus is the same price, but I think Callum Wilson had a fantastic season last year. If he can stay fit again this year, I see no reason why he won't have another one. And again, if he's going to end up being a differential, for me there's absolutely no reason not to have him. I would rather have him than Watkins at 8 million. Jesus, I've got Saka in the team, so for me it was between Saka and Wilson, or Jesus and another 8.5. I think it was Bruno was the other option, but again, I'll talk over this when the team's finished. But I've went for Callum Wilson up front. I see no reason why he won't have another good season and get loads of points again. We'll start every week, so he's there. And wrapping things up, 6 million left for the final striker. I went for Ferguson up top. I think he looked promising last year. They've got decent fixtures at the start of the season. Hopefully he ends up the starting striker every match. And again, he's nice and cheap. Not really much else to say. Looks like he could be a good option. Plus there's the money there. And yeah, I think he looks good, basically. Again, first draft, we never know what's going to happen with it. But let's go into why everyone's been picked, the pros and cons of the team. Okay, so here's how the team looks with a bench in place. And if you ask me, I think that looks very, very, very solid. Pros, there's one attacker for every team, pretty much. I've not doubled up on anyone. There's a City attacker, a Spurs attacker, Arsenal, Liverpool. I'm trying to spread everything out a bit. Obviously there's no Salah in there, hopefully will be covered by Diaz. There's no Kane, hopefully covered by Son. No Matoma, hopefully covered by Ferguson. That was the reason of kind of going for those. Obviously a big negative is the fact that there is no Salah in the team. But if I wanted Salah in there for Luis Diaz, that's 5 million extra, and that would be like downgrading 4, maybe 5 players just to get in Salah. There's an argument you could have him in for Son, but then there's no Spurs attack either, and it's an extra 3.5 million. So I think that as a first draft looks fantastic. There's a playable bench with Botman there ready to come on. There's 2 playable goalkeepers, solid defence, fantastic midfield, and there's 3 strikers as well. I just think it looks very well rounded, and I think last year you're looking at that and you're thinking that Son and Haaland is a 2 premium team. Now it's obviously just a 1 premium team based on the prices, but if you're looking at Haaland, Saka and Son, that's easily 3 premiums plus the best defender in the game sitting there as well. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I'll try to get more videos out, FPL and Sky Fantasy when the game releases as well. And there'll be UCL fantasy videos this season as well, so look forward to that. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.